This is a second stimulus check update. In this video, I'll go over the latest news regarding getting a second and third stimulus check because it's bundled in together. And then I'll go over the current timeline of when you could expect to receive a second stimulus check. Before we get started, just want to let you know I published a new video on my other channel, Why Sense. I go over how I was able to make over $1,000 last month using something called the wheel strategy and how to get a guaranteed weekly income from it. If you want, there'll be a link down in the description below on that. Let's get started with the latest updates. The biggest accomplishment of the week was the March to Common Ground Bill introduced by the House of Representatives, more specifically the Problem Solvers Caucus, which consisted of 25 Democrats, 25 Republicans. So this was a bipartisan bill. Here are all the numbers here, consist of $1.5 trillion. And the biggest number that stands out, I won't go over all these numbers, but $316 billion for direct payments to individuals and families. This is going to give a $1,200 stimulus check plus $500 per dependent, and you actually get a third stimulus check in this bill. The way you get a third stimulus check of $1,200 is if certain criteria are met. For example, if the hospitalization rates are high and a vaccine is not distributed, then those trigger a third stimulus check to be automatically sent March of 2021. There are no Congress or politics that have to vote on this third stimulus check. It is just automatically sent. Same thing that goes for unemployment benefits. It's going to be $450 per week, but it could go up to $600 if certain criteria and triggers are met. And there are actually reducers too. So if things are getting better, economy is getting better, COVID numbers are down, then certain things will actually be reduced, and it could be less than this number as well. So this was a really good bill. A lot of people liked it. Mark Meadows actually liked it. President Trump said he agreed with a lot of it, and that anything that the Republicans did not agree with, President Trump would try to convince them to agree on it or negotiate it. Around $500 billion. This number is probably the number that is causing the most amount of problems between the Republicans and Democrats. A lot of all these other numbers and topics of the stimulus bill, they agree on. It's just state and local aid. This number is too low for the Democrats and still too high for the Republicans. According to Mark Meadows, he said that $500 billion is still too high and that he hopefully wants a number closer to $250 billion to $300 billion. President Trump is saying that he likes a lot of these numbers himself. Let's remember, President Trump has an election coming up in 6 weeks. He is itching to send out stimulus checks and get a stimulus package done. If he does get that done before the election, the economy will be a big boost. Then he could say, look what we did to the economy's better, and then he could get more votes that way. So President Trump is really desperate to get a stimulus package and stimulus checks out to the American people. Now, in regards to a quote that President Trump just said earlier this week, he basically said that the Democrats don't want to give money out or stimulus payments, and he's telling the Republicans to go for much higher numbers. Republicans have been saying that they don't want to give a high stimulus check or any stimulus check whatsoever. Nancy Pelosi, leader of the Democrats, took this as an opportunity to say, thank you, President Trump, for telling your Republicans to go for higher numbers. And then she says, we look forward to hearing from the president's negotiators that they will finally meet us halfway. Nancy Pelosi bragging, saying that her firm stance of not going lower than $2.2 trillion is working because now look at President Trump wanting to raise the numbers and agree on a higher number. So Nancy Pelosi still, after the $1.5 trillion bill was just announced this week, is still saying it is not good enough. She shot it down, as well as other Republican top leaders shot it down as well. But all of the moderate Democrats, the moderate Republicans, a lot of them agree on this bill, and they just want to get something out to the people. So it's just another game of politics. Nancy Pelosi and Steve Mnuchin, which is the Treasury Secretary and one of the four negotiators, they spoke on the phone a couple times this week. Nothing came out of that. Nancy Pelosi is still staying firm to her $2.2 trillion and saying that when the Republicans want to meet her at that, then she'll negotiate. So unfortunately, no movement there. Also, Steve Mnuchin is saying to Republicans, now is not the time to worry about the shrinking deficit, because that is why the Senate Republicans are not for another stimulus package, because they are concerned about the deficit. In a time of crisis, in this pandemic, when millions of Americans are suffering, I think it's okay to give a little more money to the American people. With millions of Americans in desperate need of help from our government, what happens? Congress is looking to go home early to start campaigning for their elections. So the Senate GOP is saying that they want to leave early next week so that they could start campaigning. Senator John Thune is saying that would be ideal if we could get that wrapped up. That will involve a high level of cooperation on both sides. I think once we get the CR, which is the continued resolutions for our country's budget, once we get the CR done, I don't know there is going to be a lot more business to be transacted. How about stimulus negotiations to help out the American people? I just think it's crazy that Congress thinks it's okay to leave their office early so that they could go home and start campaigning for re-election. Now, in terms of receiving an actual stimulus check, I want to keep it real with you. Nothing is confirmed. I don't want to give you any false hope. If we look at this timeline right now, so back in March 25th, when the first stimulus check came out, it was passed in the Senate on the 25th, in the House on the 26th, and signed by the President on the 27th. Checks were sent out April 25th. That first time around was a big mess. But if the Senate passes something on the 30th, and then the House passes October 1st, President signs it October 2nd, then we could see stimulus checks as early as October 12th. According to Steve Mnuchin, which is the Secretary of Treasury, he was saying I could get out 50 million payments really quickly, a lot into people's direct accounts. So we're just waiting for something to be signed off on, and then we could get... But if President Trump can figure out a way to issue an executive order and give out second stimulus checks to the American people, as he said in this past week that he has $300 billion in an account, he's trying to figure out a legal way to send that money out to the American people. If he does, then we could get a stimulus check as early as a week after that executive order is issued. I'll keep you updated on that. President Trump also said yesterday that every American can get a coronavirus vaccine by April, but health experts are saying that may not be possible without a vaccine actually approved and final. They don't know about the storage quality of a vaccine as well as distribution. Once they figure out the actual vaccine and storage and distribution qualities of what they would have to do, then they could figure out how they could get hundreds of millions of vaccines into Americans' arms. And that is all the news I have for you today. If you want to lighten up your mood a little bit, here is my 7-year-old daughter, Bella's tip of the day.
Hi guys, this is Bella. This is the tip of the day. Do you like my stress ball? You squeeze it and then you feel better. So I'm going to tell you one thing you should do. Do the things that you want to do because you only have one life. Do you know how I come up with all these good positive words? My mom and dad always do meditation, and it says a lot of positive words. So that's where I got the positive words for. So you guys can be happy, and I can be happy making these tip of the day for you. That's why I do that. It's Bella.
Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate your support. You are the best. Also, I want to mention about that video I spoke about earlier on my other channel, Why Sense. I made a video talking about how in the month of August, I was able to make over $1,000 by using something called the wheel strategy. It's a stock market strategy, and you're able to make a guaranteed weekly income from this strategy. It's very rare that anyone can make anything guaranteed in the stock market, but this is true. If you want to check it out, you could click this video over here. I go over in exact detail, step by step, of how to use the strategy, how I was able to make money from it, how you can make money from it as well. If you want, click that video right over here on my other channel, Why Sense, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, be safe. Thank you for watching.